Kyle, when lightning strikes, you gotta ride it. Ride the lightning, Kyle. Do you know what I mean by that? DarbyCast, Monday sports. And I want to jump right into it. I had a fantastic dream. It was anxiety-provoking, but it ended on such a positive note. It just felt great. Is that possible? Can you have an anxiety whodunit during a dream persist through said anxiety debacle and then end on a positive note? What a metaphor for life. A comeback story. And there's a lot of those that happen in sports. The comeback, the victory, it just wouldn't be as inspirational and as meaningful if it weren't for something terrible happening. Okay, let me recount this dream and where it picked up. It started me arriving at a taping of The Bachelor / party. So the fact that The Bachelor was being filmed, I didn't care. I went to an upper level of a yard, this mansion, because I heard there was a jacuzzi up there. This actually happened in the dream. Are you following this? Show up somewhere. People are excited, like, oh, we're going to watch a reality show get taped. What's that about? And I'm like, hard to pass. Show me the jacuzzi. Would ya, host? So I go up to the jacuzzi, and very nice area surrounded by pepper trees. Serious symbolism, pepper trees. But another piece of symbolism, the jacuzzi's empty. What does that mean? First off, even rich fat cats make mistakes. They throw a party, and their jacuzzi is drained. Somebody forgot to fill it up, and it's like, nah, come on, rich fat cat. I'm calling you out. So a bunch of chicks were up there, and they were pissed. They had every right to be. But I didn't want to be around that energy, so I said, I'm out. So I went inside the house, away from the reality show, away from a drained jacuzzi, because we all know nothing's going down in a drained jacuzzi. Some of you who are newer to the DarbyCast, boy, are you lost right now. Maybe everybody's lost, but continue with me. I'll get you there. Sports, big comeback. It's kind of how the DarbyCast works sometimes. You say, wow, we're really lost. And I say, no, we're not. And even if we are, we'll find our way. So I'm in this very lavish mansion overlooking the city of Anaheim. People are saying, why Anaheim? And I'm telling you, this is just how it went in my dream. Sometimes the dreams happen and you don't understand. Many of you are wondering, are there mansions in Anaheim? And I honestly don't know, but there could be. So I'm in this amazing house. Huge windows everywhere. Expensive couches. The kind of couch that you look at and you're like, that is so out of my league. What the hell? That ever happened to you in a dream? You look at a couch and you're like, wow, talk about punching out of my weight class. Look at that couch. I don't know, but I run into the owner of the estate. He's not having The Bachelor either. He's like, why the fuck did I agree to this? And I'm like, I don't know, but can I tell you about the DarbyCast? And he just lit up. What a dream this was. Let me continue. His eyes light up. And then I realize it's not because he heard about the DarbyCast. He did a bunch of cocaine. And then he broke out in a cold sweat. I was like, sir, you seem to be not doing so well. What in heaven's name can I do for you? Guy's sweating bullets. And I'm like, should I call someone? Or should I continue telling him about a great podcast? And maybe everything works out. And so I took a chance in this dream. I took a chance. I told him about it. All the while he's shivering. And I think he's going to expire because of hypothermia. Legitimate concern for somebody who's like sweating bullets and then turning blue and shivering. And then out of nowhere, again, this is all still in the dream. Out of nowhere, what happens? Some random just pops out of the woodwork, lays this talent executive on that couch that was just like so breathtaking. And I've never said that about a couch in my life, but in my dream, this couch was like, whoa. But this random, he just lays the exec down on this couch. Doesn't even care that he's going to get the couch super sweaty. There's part of me that was disgusted by that, but there was also part of me that was like, well, when you're in this echelon of wealth, nothing can faze you except potentially dying from a coke binge. I know this is a crazy dream. I know many of you are like, you must really love going to sleep every night if this is the caliber of action you're getting. And I'm going to tell you that is correct. So what does this random person do? Wraps the exec up in a blanket and then he snuggles with him. Two guys snuggling on a couch. Hypothermia, done like that. Exec is fine. Snuggled for like 3 seconds. And I was like, that's not my culture, but that was impressive nonetheless. So then what happened? And call me selfish, because I immediately went back to telling this guy, like, sir, so as I was saying, DarbyCast, it's a podcast. Pretty darn good. Pretty good. And all of a sudden he was bought in a huge way, and he took out a notepad. The kind of notepad that you're like, whoa, this is how the rich stay rich. Started scribbling out notes as I told him about the DarbyCast. And he asks, he says, and I remember this is big time. All these details. Some of you are like, you're fabricating this. I'm going to tell you, this is just how it all played out. Step by step. Kyle, step by step. But let's get back into it. He asks me a question, and it's a good question. He says, after listening to an episode, what do you think people ask themselves most frequently? Say I'm a new listener and I listen to the DarbyCast. What am I going to be asking myself when it's all said and done? And he's like, I'm a big agent, not just for change, but in the industry. Entertainment. And I say, I know you weren't quite listening earlier, you savage drug fiend. But so they ask themselves a big question, a huge question. They say, why is my heart so full? And only you can answer that. I'm talking directly to you now, DarbyCast doctors. Why is your heart so full after one of these DarbyCasts? Maybe because my heart is surging as I deliver such great stories to you. Not in like a cardiac problem way, but just full of joy. So then it gets interesting. For those of you who think the dream is going to tap off anytime soon, you're wrong. Because what happened next was really the meat and potatoes of this dream. This preamble to the real action, exciting, but it didn't quite do it for me. What happened next? This guy sits me down in this chair and he says, why don't you show me some stuff? Would you be comfortable recording something right now? And then I kind of look around and I see that this guy has a custom carved like 15-row amphitheater in his house. And I'm like, this is a different kind of wealth. How does he do it? But then he just goes to town on a soundboard, and quietly I was like, you're not Kyle. Kyle, I said that in my dream. I thought about you, pal. sits me down in this like recording booth. And I'm like, how often do you nearly die while people tell you about a podcast just to give you this opportunity? Then I kind of realized like, this is a dream. This is my dream. And so he sits me down, and for whatever reason, the mic wasn't working. And I was like, boom, symbolism. Symbolism.com. Is that owned? But also, like, the mic's not working. Could this spell disaster? I'm trying to get the levels right. The microphone's just absolutely trash in how it's working. It's gold plated. Okay, let me tell you the visual. Gold plated. And I think that's symbolism in itself. Gold plated microphone, but it doesn't work. Wow. A lot of you, your brains just went elsewhere, and you're like, boy, do I know way too many examples of something like that. But let's not get hung up on that. Let's continue. This media exec then takes out some weird remote control, and the chair that I'm sitting in front of this mic that's not working, he just hits this remote that he's got in his hand, and the chair moves like down the amphitheater, but not in like a really slow, lame way that people who can't utilize stairs, like, you know, that seat that older people who insist that they don't live downstairs in their 2-story house in their old age, or they just don't want to downgrade to a 1-story house and open up some opportunities for some younger families to get it done. It wasn't like that slow motion geriatric ride, but I've never ridden one of those, so maybe I was wrong. But this chair was moving fast. It was moving real fast, and it just moves me to a new station where it's a great podcast setup, and it's in the front of the amphitheater. The last one was in the back of the amphitheater. Hey, symbolism. What does it all mean? But then that chair gets remote controlled quickly down the 15 rows of the amphitheater into the front. And he's like, why don't you just give me a sample podcast? And I thought to myself, well, it is Sports Monday coming up. I must have been in a really light sleep because this dream was like way too on point. Some of you right now are really hurting as you're listening to this because you're like, I've never had a dream this vivid in my life. And that's okay. Maybe you will one day. That's called hope. I just gave it to you. So I'm in the front of this amphitheater, and all the people who were there to see a taping of The Bachelor, they've moved into the amphitheater. A lot of couples. And I'm like, guys, why don't you take back all that you've lost? I think that, and I look at the guys in the crowd. I'm like, guys, this isn't you, is it? Give them the opportunity to think or say, no, it's not. I don't like this. I've been conned into this. So I've got a rare opportunity to help inspire these dudes who have been emasculated by their chicks into watching a terrible reality show. It's popular, but I don't think it's any good. And I say that, but I've never seen it. So all I can do is imagine, say, maybe it's not that good. Watch me watch an episode and be like, whoa, I don't think it's going to happen, but I won't rule it out. Let's continue. Kind of do a sweeping overview. Went to this big mansion, wasn't about what the party was about. Went to the jacuzzi, it was drained, so I spent some time with a talent agent who almost died of hypothermia, but was snuggled back to life. And then the opportunity of a lifetime presented itself. He had this aha moment where he's like, I gotta give this guy a shot. Boy, do I respect that. And so now this amphitheater, which is large, who has an amphitheater in their house? This guy, for situations just like this. Maybe it had never been used. Maybe this amphitheater, like he was just waiting for the day that all of this would click. Now that is extreme wealth. That you just set up arenas for an impromptu podcast recording when your party isn't that sweet and you need more entertainment, and some great individual just stumbles into your presence as you're half dead. What a metaphor, right? What a metaphor. Symbolism 101 masterclass. You're getting it right now, but so is this exec. So everybody is in this stadium. They have no idea what to expect because they've never heard the DarbyCast before. Now put yourself in the shoes of somebody who's never heard the DarbyCast. This is their first DarbyCast. What are they thinking right now? Who knows? Just like these people, they didn't know. And I get off. I start rambling. I look to my surroundings and I say, hey, everyone, we're in Anaheim. Over there is Angels Stadium. This is DarbyCast. This is a Sports Monday. And in that moment, I knew I had made a fatal error. By mentioning the Angels Stadium, I just had lost like half the audience. People just checked out and they're like, who cares? Who cares about the Anaheim Angels? Even people who live in Anaheim are like, I'm not bought in. But I kind of respect that also. And then in the dream, I was just rambling and nothing was landing. Some side conversations broke out. And boy, was that anxiety provoking. Just did not have the audience. I wasn't saying anything funny. I was talking about things that were dry. I was like, the bond market yields are inverted. What's that about? College degrees? Not all of them are good. And these were so obvious and unrelated to sports that I was losing people. And these side conversations, they just increased in volume. I could sense that I was losing more of the room in this dream. And then this one couple, they stood up and they're like, over it. They said that out loud together as a unit. And I was like, I'm impressed with you guys being on the same page as a couple. That's huge. But I was also devastated. And I realized in that moment there was something that I had to do, which is call these people out. I was like, talk about a poor spirit out of you. And I told them, I'm like, I'm not even going to ask you to stay. Please leave. Get out. Remove yourself from the premises. Why don't you go hang out in that dry jacuzzi? Because you have dry spirits. You don't understand what this is about. All the side conversations have hushed and people are paying attention in a huge way. I start winning over the crowd. I hear these quick comments. Rather than side conversations, I hear quick comments like, yeah, fuck those people, right? Give this guy a chance. Let him do his thing. And I'm just feeling so bold. I'm like, now that I'm on the topic of poor spirits, let me tell you about a gym that I know in the city of Anaheim that's haunted. And then I have immediate buy-in. And people are like, do it. Just do it. And so I do. And I'm like, yeah, these people who are possessed with negativity, they will probably end up being ghosts in Anaheim. And they're probably Angels fans. So that they're directionless and they're angry. That's what that means. That's what that means. Angels fans, you're so close to LA. The Dodgers, they're open for fandom. You've decided to live your truth. And it's like, maybe not the best call. And I can tell that people in this beautiful stained wood amphitheater, inside, by the way, I hadn't mentioned that this is all inside. What a great venue. I'm like, yeah, there's this gym. It's adjacent to Disneyland. And a guy died there. Foul play? Question mark? And that got people thinking in the crowd. They're like, whoa. I thought people who went to the gym were all on the level. Maybe they aren't. Whew. That opens up a big can of corn for everyone in the audience. That might just be opening up a can of corn for you right now, listening to this. You're like, wow, I thought everybody at the gym was just A+. Could they not be? Are there some B- in there? There very well could. So this guy died in the gym, and he began haunting the place. He had unresolved business, much like this couple had serious unresolved business in the game of self-awareness, and that they were just haunting everyone around them while still alive. They were living ghosts. Do you understand how scary that is? Negative people on the mortal plane that can haunt while still flesh and blood. If that didn't get you saying a couple Hail Marys at home or in the car, wherever you're listening to this, I don't know what will. And that's also a sports call. You ever heard of a Hail Mary? Deep shot. And everything that I'm saying to you right now, that's what I'm saying to the audience in this stream. And it is hitting home with them in a way that this is obviously the parallels. This is hitting home with you. You're like, wow, how amazing are the people who stuck it out. They didn't know where it was going to go, but then they hung in there and they realized that the reason it wasn't good is because there was somebody polluting the energy of the space. And you're also thinking to yourself, what an impressive play by you to identify those people pretty easily and skillfully to get them out of the space and be like, you're banished, you human ghosts. Go take your sloppy ectoplasm somewhere else. All the while, everybody in that wooden amphitheater, they are now totally bought in on DarbyCast forever. The media executive / talent agent, yeah, his job title just increased or was just revealed. Peel back the layers. You don't get to that level of money unless you're grinding all the time, sacrificing every relationship in your life to make big deals. But then I told the crowd, I'm like, much like those human fantasmas, that's Spanish for ghost. Halloween's coming up. Just want to throw that out there. But I said to the people, I'm like, much like those fantasmas just went somewhere else. The ghost that I was telling you about, he went somewhere else. And what did he do? That's right. He met up with more ghosts. Devastating. So then there was a trio of ghosts, and they just patrolled Anaheim, making mischief. Poltergeists. So negative. But then what happened? Angels in the outfield. Poltergeist defeated by angels. Not the baseball team, because they can't do anything. I'm talking Christopher Lloyd. Just beats those ghosts senseless. And it's like, get out of Anaheim. And some of you, if you're in Anaheim, you're kind of wishing, you're like, I wish somebody would do that to the baseball team. But Christopher Lloyd, Angels in the Outfield, he goes ahead and he drives those ghosts out. Just like I had driven those evil spirits out of the podcast amphitheater. And then I woke up. And boy, did I feel good. There were some rough times in that dream. There were some really uncertain times. But what's the theme? Comeback story. You got to hang in there. If things aren't going your way, you know, a lot of people, they give up right before extreme success happens. If you're one of those people who, whatever you're doing in life, you're on the cusp of just throwing in the towel, throwing up your hands and being like, I'm out. I hate this. Consider this. Consider this thought. Maybe you're right there. Maybe it's about to happen. Other side of that is it's never going to happen. But you won't know until you dedicate your entire life to it, whatever that is. Whether it's driving spirits out of places, being the angel that the city of Anaheim needs, not the ones that they have currently, with the exception of like Mike Trout. Like, Trout, get out of there. Get out of there. I don't even know if Mike Trout's still on the Angels. I don't follow baseball. I saw that the Dodgers really blew it, though, this past weekend. And it upset a lot of people. But I should tell you right now, and those people, that sets the stage for a big comeback, for an inspiring story, where it's like things weren't going in the correct direction. Mistakes were made, but then major things happen after the fall. Wow. Extreme symbolism. Almost too much symbolism in this dream. Tough to tolerate. So many great metaphors manifesting themselves. How many amazing themes did I just pull together? Like, count them. Ghosts, that's related to Halloween. Hail Marys, football. So this is a sports thing. I made a lot of fun of the Angels, who deserve it. So that's also sports. This is DarbyCast. This is Monday. This is sports. But it's also talking about dreams, following them, figuring out the symbolism. And I could get into other sports dreams that I've had, like riding a bicycle up a flight of stairs, trying to keep pace with motocross legend Travis Pastrana. Mind you, also in the rain, the dream I had. What does that mean? My goodness. Some of you saying, this is nuts. This is loco, man. And I'm going to respond to that and say, is it though? Wow, checkmate on you. Any of the doubters, any of the negative people. And if you're a negative person, I'm going to ask you to do exactly what I asked that couple to do, who at first were seemingly a strong, cohesive unit, but then you realize birds of a feather flock together. That's right. Ghosts team up. Very scary. So get them out. Get them the heck out of there. Birds of a feather. Some of you are wondering, how did you tie all these themes in? And I'm going to tell you, look no further than every single DarbyCast ever produced. It happens every time without fail. I don't know how it keeps happening. I wonder if the magic will stop one day. And some of you in your life, you're saying, what do I do that's magical? And maybe you haven't found it yet, but you will because you're a DarbyCast doctor. That's why. Let this podcast be your equivalent of the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and let this podcast give you license to soar. If you're in a rut, you're feeling anxious, maybe now is the turnaround. Maybe now is your time to pounce and show everybody in the metaphorical amphitheater of life, all these hip people who watch The Bachelor and waste their time. You say, time for me to step up to the microphone. Not the gold-plated one, the real one. And it's time to live. And then, here's the best part. What did I do when the jacuzzi was not full? That's right. I put the hose in it. And I took some time to be productive. And then when I was done with delivering the podcast in the dream, where did I go? To the jacuzzi, which was toasty and full of water. Wow. Metaphor City. Now you're part of that population. Metaphor City. Is that Anaheim? Can we rename the city? A lot of you are asking yourselves. I'd say, I don't know. And that's probably a waste of time. It probably is. Huge waste of time. Did I just make enemies with the city of Anaheim? No. Let's put that one to rest. Right? Let's put that one to rest. I think I just made a bunch of friends in Anaheim who are waiting to be put on the map in such a way and be like, we've been hurting. Been plagued by ghosts and a shit baseball team. And it's about time that somebody stepped up and talked about what's really going on. It's another thing you get with a DarbyCast. You hear unabashed truth. Boy, are people craving that these days. You see a lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of nonsense. You get focused on it. But then you realize, I got to step up to the mic. Maybe it's not about what everybody's doing, watching The Bachelor. Maybe I got to do this right. That's DarbyCast. That's Monday. That's sports. I think that's almost too many metaphors, so much symbolism that it's like almost off-putting. Like too much of a good thing is like, ugh, right? You ever been there? Try to eat a whole half-gallon of ice cream in one sitting and you're like, the hell was I thinking? You've got the equivalent of a sugar rush, but it's a podcast metaphor rush. Maybe you've never had that before. Maybe you're feeling like the kid who just attempted to eat a half-gallon of ice cream, and it was too much. But for some of you, Maybe you just took in the pieces that were most meaningful for you, and you're like, talk about the perfect size bowl of ice cream. This episode. Why is your heart so full right now? Meditate on that for the rest of the day. But that's DarbyCast. That's Monday. That's sports. Back Wednesday for some serious economics. The most serious. Okay? You understand?